And officially call the meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly posted and will been taken?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3.1, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 19th and August 2nd meetings.
So move. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 4 is communications. Communications at this time. Item number 5 are public comments. All I would ask is that citizens who wish to address the chair at this point of the meeting, please limit your comments to items that are on the agenda and no more than 3 minutes. Or make public comments at this time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item number 6, which are reports of committees, boards, commissions, and the Delavan Darien School District. Item 6.1 is the Finance Committee and the financial report. Alderwoman Deshler Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee met on August 2nd at 5 o'clock. Next meeting will be on September 13th at 5. There are a number of items on today's agenda. The minutes of the meeting are on file with the city clerk for public inspection. And at this time, I will make a motion to approve the financial report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 6.2, general operations. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. General operations met Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. There were no public comments. Our building and zoning administrator updated the committee on projects. Our administrator briefly covered the clear budget software, and the pertinent business will be coming up later in this meeting. The next GOC will be September 6th.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. Item 6.3, Planning Commission, Alderman Beazer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Planning Commission met August 1st. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 6th at 5 p.m. There's a number of items that are on the agenda today for review, discussion, and potential approval. And the minutes are on file with the city clerk if anyone has an interest in reviewing them.
Thank you, Alderman Beazer. Item 6.4 are Public Works, Alderwoman Deshler Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Works met on July 26th at 5:30. Items that were covered will be discussed tonight at the Finance Committee. The next meeting is August 23rd at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman Deshler Grant. Item 6.5 is Town of Delavan Lake Committee, Alderman Beazer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The town of Delavan had their initial meeting on the first Wednesday of the month, which was canceled because it was an agenda issue. The next meeting was on August 10th. I was not able to attend. I had a scheduling conflict. The next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September 7th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall.
Thank you, Alderman Beazer. Item 6.6 is the Library Board of Trustees, Alderwoman Deshler Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Library Board of Trustees met on July 21st at 5:30. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend that meeting with some family matters. Our next meeting is August 18th at 5:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman Deshler Grant. Item 6.7 is Parks and Recreation Commission. Normally, Alderman Purcell would give us that update. I know he's a little under the weather and couldn't make it this evening. I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to report on Park and Recreation issues. I would say that they did meet July 25th, and the next meeting is scheduled for Monday, August 22nd here at City Hall at 5:30.
I know the doggy paddle is coming up this weekend, so that's kind of fun. You can register online, register your dog.
Thank you for including that as well. Item 6.8 is Communications Commission. Alderman Luis Solis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't met, Mayor, per our last meeting. We're trying to come up with a time frame that works for everybody, and hoping to meet, the end of this month. We will post it as soon as we have all the stuff that we need to get a meeting going.
Thank you, Alderman Solis. Item 6.9 is the Delavan Downtown Project Management Team, Alderwoman Destrom Brand.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Downtown Project Management Team met on July 26th at 7 o'clock. We did not have a quorum, so we just had a general discussion. The next meeting is scheduled for August 25th at 6.
Thank you, Alderwoman Destrom Brand. Item 6.10 is the Delbrook Golf Commission. Again, Alderman Purcell would normally give this update. And we met on July 21st, and the next meeting is scheduled for this Thursday, August 18th at 5 p.m. here at City Hall. Item 6.11 is the Tourism Commission, Alderman Solis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We haven't met since our last meeting, but we will be meeting on August 24th.
Thank you, Alderman Solis. Item 6.12 is the Delavan Darien School District Report. Dr. Jill Sloan.
Good evening, everyone. So obviously we are ready for the students to come back and the teachers to come back. And so that's exciting. We start officially with our new teachers on Monday, and all of the rest of the teachers join us on Thursday. So we're quite excited. We've got lots of things that we'll be doing, including some really fun activity on Thursday with all of the staff. So students will come back right after Labor Day, exciting times, opening up the stadium, exciting times. But tonight I really want to talk to you about the finances of the district, because the school board recently made a decision to go back for another operational referendum. You may recall in November of 2018, we passed an operational referendum for a 4-year term limit. That term limit will be up at the end of this school year. And so the school board has made a decision to go back for another operational referendum for another 4 years. So in other words, it's just kind of stacking one on top of the other. One comes off the tax record, and one will be hopefully going back on if we can pass one. So the total amount is $3.8 million. It's a little bit higher than the last time. It will be for 4 years. And like everything else, we've seen the rise in costs for everything, and the district feels that as well. But I want to share with you some things that we have done to remain fiscally responsible, because I think it's important for our taxpayers to understand that the district continues to find ways to be sure that we are fiscally responsible. So this past year in January, so a little over a half a year now, we switched from a WEA PPO, which is a health insurance program for our staff, to an HMO between Dean and Mercy. We're creating a competition between these two providers, and that total competition caused the district to save $2 million in health insurance costs. That's a nice savings that we were able to, again, feel the future successes of being able to put more towards educating our students versus costs for staff that aren't necessarily seen at first. Another cost savings we did was we really looked at our bus runs. What do we really need? And having that partnership with Dousman to what do we actually need? So they really cut back our runs, saving us a couple $100,000. Mr. Klein and I, my business administrator, and I always look for ways to be the most efficient with our funds, so we don't have to go back and continually ask the taxpayers. The total impact is really hard to say yet at this point, because the reality is one referendum would be coming off the previous operational referendum, like I mentioned, for November of 2018. So this one, if it passes, would slide right on top of it. Right now, it's looking at to be just in the cents per 100,000, to be honest. And so it's not going to be a huge tax pay. I should say cents per thousand. So it's looking at around $6 per 100,000. And so it's really not a huge tax impact for that additional $1 million per year. But of course, people see it on their tax, as you guys know, and you look at your tax impact for the district, it shows it on the left-hand side of your tax bill, the total cost for the referendum for you under your equalized value of your home. So when people look at that, they're like, well, wait a minute, they said it's only gonna cost a little bit more. That's a little bit more on top of what we currently have there, which is from November of 2018. So there is a little different, that just making sure people understand that. And the reason we fully don't understand the full tax impact is because we don't know what the state's gonna yet do for their biennial budget. We're all wondering, I'm sure you guys are the same way as the city, you don't know what's coming down for your revenues. And so you really don't have a clue of what the total impact's gonna be. So there's a lot of things that we have to do as a probable, or this is what we believe that based on the information we have at this time. So, okay. Yeah, so I think it's important for you to know that that question will be on the November ballot.
I do have one
Sure.
little question. Are city officials invited to partake in the ribbon cutting? We've got a couple teachers by day. We've got a couple alumni that played on that field at some point. So I think it'd be a nice.
Come on over,
and
6 o'clock,
To join you if
On the
those of
23rd.
us are interested in doing that. So thank you.
please do. That's
Is the stadium all done now?
So good question. They are painting the lines on the track today and tomorrow, along with Home of the Comets, with the blue or yellow and white, right there band on the third running line or the third line. As far as the rest of the stadium goes, it is all done. There are some challenges with the tennis court that we have known about for probably since last summer. I have a meeting on Friday with various groups to talk about what is going to be the fix. The fix I have been promised by these various entities will not be at the cost of the Delavan Darien community and taxpayers. So they realize that they have to own the mistake that was made. What happened basically is there are the requirements for the asphalt were slightly off in their fines, which, basically there was too much fines and not enough gravel. And so basically we're seeing some surface cracks happen. And so the solution that I've been told that will happen is a fiberglass layer will be added to the top of all of the tennis courts. And that will keep the warranty of the courts for the full life that they were expected. But like I said, I have a call on Friday and I've got lots of questions for them, like who else has put it on? When did they put it on? What are they seeing for satisfaction of the product? Like a lot. And I'll be going on a field trip to go hear from that place that did that. So I just, I want to find the right solution for the community. But the rest of the project is done, including the electrical panel that just went in this week. So we have officially lights on our tennis court, it's all done as far as the electric now, which we've been waiting for the guts of that electrical box since last summer as well. So, but we're all done otherwise. It looks beautiful.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Item number 7, moving on to item number 7 are issues that came before the planning commission. Item 7.1 is consider a conditional use petition to allow for a group development, multi-tenant industrial land use along with an outdoor storage land use at 214 North Wright, located in the manufacturing general MG zoning district with wellhead protection overlay applicant MTI Wright Delavan LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed resolution subject to the following. 1, the following conditional use findings listed in the report, and 2, the conditional use request for a multi-tenant industrial development and outdoor storage and wholesale land use located at 214 North Wright Street, the manufacturing general MG zoning district, subject to the findings and conditions of approval listed in the report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.2 is a request to consider a planned infill development amendment to the official zone map for a step 3 general development plan GDP at 707 Farrell Avenue, located in business local BL and residential multifamily 12 RM-12 zoning districts to allow for a group development residential apartment complex in the area north of Delavan Fest Park, applicant Falcon Ridge Apartments.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance for approval of the proposed project as planned infill development, general development plan, subject to the requirements of the submitted application, subject to the requirements of the general zoning ordinance as modified by the approved items of zoning flexibility, and subject to the following list of conditions identified by city staff, the plan commission, and the common council, with the inclusion of an on-site playground or dog park in the southeast area of the property, along with a public sidewalk along the entire Farrell Avenue and Phoenix Street frontages. And the playground or dog park shall be relocated to the southeastern portion of the site, away from the stormwater pond and vehicle circulation areas. And 38 surface spaces for the users of Fest Park. The 38 surface spaces, parking spaces along the south property line shall be paved and restricted from overnight parking, with the applicant providing an easement to the city for the parking area, allowing the city to prohibit overnight parking and enforcement parking rules, and anything else approved by the common council.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
My only question would be, I'm wondering, because I know what the price line is for these apartment units. And I'm just wondering, like, have you done kind of like a study or some kind of demographic, comparison, like to find out if this would be apartments that would be rentable in this area?
Paul Van Hickman, I'm the engineer for the developers, surrounding builders, who are the developers, builders, owners, and operators of about 1,200 units in the area. They have units in East Troy, Whitewater, Beloit, and currently looking at projects in Mugwanago here in Elkhorn. The units these are high-end units. They're I don't want to say, they're probably more luxury types. They all have underground parking. We're looking at 154 units with 220 underground parking stalls. So they range from 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. And the expected rental range would be from $1,100 to $2,200. And just a couple little minor items that the staff came up. We're working on a general development plan now, but we're also working on the specific implementation plan. And we're concerned with we'll talk about the playground equipment, but when we looked at that, we thought there may be a better opportunity for a doggy park instead of playground equipment. I don't think that's a big change development. And there was a comment from the staff about our heating units being on the outside on the Fort Road side. And based on our architectural design and the way these buildings lay out, that they're gonna have to stay there. But we thought when we looked at the topography that the walking path that everybody wanted, there's a big change in elevation from Fort Road down to the site where the ball field is, where the site is. And we didn't think a walking trail would make sense there. So we were looking at putting it on the front as in lieu of a sidewalk, or expand the sidewalk to include that. So everything else would look pretty positive, and we're moving along pretty good. So
I guess my concern would be just knowing the demographics of the city.
yeah, they understand the demographics, and they understand the need for these things. That you'd be surprised. They have a 300 people waiting list in the area between Beloit and East Troy and Whitewater. So there is a need for that. There'll be some markets that they may not be able to afford that, but there's other units in the community. So these are the upper end type apartments. So they're trying to get a mix. We think Delavan deserves all types of housing units, and this is an upper end.
And I definitely agree with you. I would just hate for you to build a complex and then for it to sit empty because
These
the
are
residents in this area maybe.
nice. They have masonry on the sides, and They have individual washers and dryers in the units, and they're upgrade flooring, upgrade carpet, 9-foot ceilings, elevators, security in the halls, meeting rooms. These are upper ends. So,
Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thank you, and thank you, Alderwoman Deshra Brand, and Alderman Beazer and myself are on the planning commission, so these were some of the discussions that
Yeah.
took place during that committee meeting, but it's good to have some additional information before us tonight, so thank you.
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody knew, because as you go through these projects, there's always little things that come up, and the staff's been very good. And I think we have a staff meeting later this week to talk about implementing some more issues, so it's moving along pretty fast.
Any other discussion?
Just a quick question. When are you looking to break ground?
Hopefully, if we get this, the general development plan approved, they'll come right back with a specific plan, hopefully break ground maybe as early as late this fall or early spring.
Okay.
Weather dependent is this guy.
Well, with Wisconsin weather, we always know that it is weather dependent, so
Yeah.
you never get the weather. you
Breaking
want.
ground is easy in the fall, getting some things done becomes difficult, but if you can break ground, that's a good time, so that's kind of the goal, but there's a lot of moving parts.
Thank you again. Any other questions, discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.3 is consider a request for a conditional use permit for an indoor commercial entertainment retail land use at 1807 East Geneva Street, Unit G, located in the Business Regional BR zoning district, applicant Holbrook Design Incorporated.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution, subject to the following. Conditional use findings listed in the report under conditional use findings and the issuance of a conditional use permit for applicant Holbrook Design Incorporated for tropical smoothie cafe for the property located at 1807 East Geneva Street, Unit G in the Business Regional Zoning District, subject to the recommended conditions of approval listed in the report under recommended conditions of approval. Indoor commercial entertainment land use, subject to the conditions of approval listed under conditions of approval listed, including any additions as may be identified by the county council.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Just for a little clarity, this is going in potentially where GameStop had been and had been empty for a few months. So any other discussion, questions? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 7.4 is consider a conditional use petition to allow for a group development multiple tenant commercial land use with an indoor commercial entertainment retail and an in-vehicle sales or services and a minor outdoor commercial entertainment land uses at 1312 East Geneva Street, located in the Business Regional BR zoning district with a wellhead protection overlay to allow for redevelopment of the former Perkins restaurant property, applicant PH Delavan LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed resolution subject to the following. One, the following conditional use findings listed in the report and the conditional use request for a multi-tenant building with 2 drive-throughs at 1312 East Geneva Street in the Business Regional BR zoning district, subject to the findings and conditions of approval listed in the report.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 7.5 is consider a request for a planned infill development amendment to the official zoning map for a step 3 general development plan GDP at 304 South 7th Street, located in the business local BL zoning district to allow for an indoor sales or service commercial land use redevelopment. Applicant Max Patel for the Beverage Center.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt proposed ordinance for approval of the proposed project as planned infill development, general development plan, subject to requirements of the submitted application, subject to the requirements of the general zoning ordinance as modified by the approved items of zoning flexibility, and subject to the following list of conditions identified by city staff, planning commission, and the common council, and as approved by the common council.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Does he plan on staying open the whole time?
That's the plan. I don't know if any other staff want to speak to that, but it was an issue that came up.
Yeah, I don't believe that he's planning on staying open the whole time. They want to stay open as long as they can, but that is something that probably will be getting. We have a meeting on Thursday, so we're gonna kind of discuss that a little bit more. But he knows he's not gonna be able to stay open for the entire time, but he would like to stay open as long as he can.
What's he planning to do with the old houses?
That was one of the things that one of the development staff meetings and again at planning commission that I had asked at both of those meetings if the current property owner would be open and receptive if there was interest to selling the homes so that they didn't have to be demolished, and that if there was a potential and it was feasible to maybe at least approach the city about an open lot, if any, that maybe the homes could be moved to. And I know the architect that had represented the property owner said that the owner was open to that. So I was gonna make that, this is a great question. I was gonna make sure to announce that. I know I put something on Facebook because there's been some feedback on Facebook about the overall development being proposed. And so again, I think it's important that if there are anyone that's interested in the two homes on that property to reach out to staff and get them in contact with the property owner to see what's workable and doable and feasible. Good question. Any other discussion, questions? There is a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 8 are issues that came before the Finance Committee. 8.1 is consider award of the 2022 concrete sidewalks repair contract to Humphreys Contracting out of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin for a not to exceed amount of $34,595.
I would make a motion to award the 2022 sidewalk repairs to Humphreys Contracting of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin for a total amount not to exceed $34,595.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, may we have a roll call?
Alderwoman Dashna Grant.
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Beezer.
Yes.
Alderman Solis.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8.2 is consider a water facility electronic programming upgrades from Electronics at a cost of $91,792.
I would make a motion to approve the proposal from Ultronics at a cost of $91,972.
There's
a motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I had pointed out a couple of suggestions to the contract, and I believe that Nick had communicated with Electronics, and we're in agreement with a slight amendment to the contract. So there was a concern about the venue and the forum clause. If there was an issue, we were going to have to go to court in Minnesota. Now, I don't go to court in Minnesota. And so I asked them to change the forum and venue clause to Walworth County, Wisconsin, and they agreed to do so. So if the motion could be subject to the modifications suggested by the city attorney, we're fine.
So I would add to the motion.
Yes.
And
Isn't this a PLC? This is a PLC or, and there's only one make and
So this is a part of a 2-year PLC change out for our water treatment facilities. Our PLCs are outdated, along with our radios that communicate to 490, which is our municipal operations center, and that's our main control panel. So Altronics is who we've used in the past for all of our PLC controls. So they control all of our programming, everything that talks and communicates to each other, and that is why it's a single source provider, is because of that, because they're the ones who control all our programming for our treatment facilities.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarity, can we repeat the motion?
Certainly. Could we have a,
Okay, so I would move to approve the proposal from Alternex at a cost of $91,972 with the amended contract,
Language.
I have,
amended language,
subject to the modifications by the city attorney as included in your agenda packet.
subject to the modifications of the city attorney as included in our agenda packet.
Second.
so there's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing.
One little tidbit, is it $91,792 or $91,972?
Oh, yeah, it says two different things. The motion has 972 and the agenda item has 792.
So it's 91,792.
Okay,
That's what I heard.
792.
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in, oh, maybe we have a roll call.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Alderman Beezer,
Yes.
Alderman Solis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Deshner Brand.
yes,
Motion passes. Item 8.3 is considered,
Question, if I could just ask, how long is it gonna take to get that? Is it like a year delay or something? I'm sorry.
So the reason why it's being brought now is because it's actually next year's purchase.
Okay.
But it takes about 11 to 12 months to get the part. So if we get it ordered now, we should be able to get it in by the end of 23.
Okay, that's what I was curious about, 'cause I just ordered from two. I'm sorry.
that's okay, and since we're still talking about it, I'll just highlight the fact that this does come under the preliminary budget of what would be budgeted, which is $105,000. So it's slightly under that budget amount. So moving on now, we'll go to item 8.3, which is consider quotes for manhole adjustments along Walworth Avenue and Racine Street.
I would make a motion to award the manhole adjustment project to, am I gonna mess up this name, right, Rick? Good, trucking at a cost of $32,500.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe we have a roll call.
Alderman Beezer,
Yes.
Alderman Solis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Deshner Brand,
Yes,
Alderman Wilson.
Yes. Motion passes. Item 8.4 is consider establishing sales, value, and policies for crypt spaces within the Spring Grove Mausoleum.
I would make a motion to adopt the proposed resolution establishing a base sale price of $6,000 for the unused crypts within the Spring Grove Mausoleum with annual price increases for inflation, along with the stated policies that this sale price does not include any opening of the crypt space, nor placement of a casket or urn into the crypt space, nor engraving of the marble crypt cover plate, nor closing of the crypt space.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.5 is consider the hiring of a receptionist / administrative assistant.
I would make a motion to approve a position for receptionist administrative assistant to be advertised and filled as soon as possible.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.6 is consider write-off of uncollectible citation debt.
I would make a motion to direct the municipal court to write off uncollectible citation debt and warrants for unpaid citations issued prior to July 1st, 2012 in the amount of $56,364.59.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just a little bit, just to be clear, we are not in the business of writing off debt just because time passes. These are individuals that we simply cannot find and have been looking for quite a while. This is, these particular people are costing us in terms of trying to find them in order to pay this debt. So this is a savings overall, and it is not something that we're looking to do moving forward.
You know what I'm going to use. Any other discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.7 is consider a transfer working capital in the amount of $813,864 from the general fund to the capital fund per current policy, or modify the policy to keep some funds in the general fund for future operations.
I'd make a motion to transfer $813,864 in working capital from the general fund to the capital fund per current policy.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item 8.8 are approval of bills for warrant 2022-07.
I'd make a motion to approve warrant 2022-07.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 9 are issues that came before the General Operations Committee. 9.1 is consider approval of a temporary Class B retailer's license for St. Andrew's Congregation to sell beer at 714 East Walworth Avenue for Fiesta Mexicana on September 10th, 2022.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve an application from the St. Andrew's Congregation for a temporary Class B retailer license to allow the sale of fermented malt beverages at a beer tent at 714 East Walworth Avenue for the Fiesta Mexicana on September 10th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 10, under other business, 10.1 is consider updated quote from Ryder Painting for repainting of the fiberboard upper portion of the Neil Flood Fire Station building for an additional $9,000.
I'd make a motion to approve the additional $9,000 quote from Ryder Painting to repaint the upper fiberboard portion of the Neil Flood Fire Station, knowing that this total quote is in excess of our budget by $30,000, and acknowledgement that this single quote is still an exception to our purchasing policy.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Why are we considering this?
Staff, you want to
Because
give us
it
an
is,
update on, this has been out there for a while.
yeah, we originally tried to do this under warranty. We received the material from the manufacturer, but everyone is telling us that, well, everyone that we can find who can do painting is telling us it's not the correct material to use anymore. This was the recommended material, was is a 3-part application on this siding. And this is at this point, the only contractor we can find in the area who will do the application.
So there's no other contractor in the area.
We have not been able to find a painting contractor to give us a second or third quote.
But this is a warranty issue?
It started out as a warranty issue. Yes, but they only supply the material, not the manpower.
But they didn't supply the correct material.
They supply the original material, which is the same stuff that failed the first time.
That's a repeat warranty issue.
Correct. We don't want to have to keep repainting this every 7 or 8 years.
Which we would have to do if we have to continue to repaint failing product every year. That sounds to me like a horrible idea. I'm not in favor of that. I would be more in favor of replacing the material with something that is appropriate and is going to last. So again, why are we considering this?
The 3-part material that's proposed is supposed to have is supposed to stay on the material. It's not supposed to flake off like the stain, but they sent us with stain.
So the paint will actually help the material last.
It will stay on the material. It's a fiberboard cement product. So the material is not failing. It's the coating on the material that's failing.
Okay.
That's-
How long is it guaranteed?
I would have to check. I do not know.
And obviously, this is, as I said, going back, and as you said, some time, certainly over 10 years. So I'm sure there's nothing that we can go to the architect or whoever originally suggested this type of material that has failed us now.
Correct. Yeah, we chased that rabbit down the hole. Yes.
I thought, I just wanted this, because this council hasn't necessarily had to deal with the issue, but Carrie and I, and a few other councils, and so it's certainly been out there for a time.
It's been at least 5 years we've been chasing this. So
Any other discussion?
Is there a critical time frame in order to get this done?
weather at this point.
Okay, so is it a scheduling conflict or anything else like that, that they need to get this done tomorrow? Or do we have maybe another month or something to come up with a better solution?
Well, I mean, if you don't award it tonight, I would assume by the time we would bring this back, we're probably not going to be putting an application on this year, because we'd be pushing into the fall, which is not typically, I mean, we're losing at least a month. So we go to next year.
Would that give us enough time to find a suitable replacement for the entire problem and not spend money after this when we're going to be looking at replacing this anyways?
As I recall, this is not a brand new problem, because we discussed it like last year during the budget process, that this has been going on for years. And this was the best solution they could find, was this coating. And then finding somebody this year to actually do it after we put it in the budget has been a challenge.
We've been looking to solve this for a really long time.
Yeah, 30,000 has already been approved last year.
Correct.
And now this is just an additional 9,000.
Okay, so this is an additional in terms of cost and finding somebody that's able to do that, but it was already approved
It's
last year.
been very difficult.
Okay, I'm okay with something that was already approved in a previous year in order to try and solve this problem in the interim, but I'm not okay with continuing to move this can forward.
I hope we can give us a 10-year warranty or something.
If I may, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, just for the product that's going on there, from Sherwin-Williams gives you a 25-year manufacturer warranty. Now, we live in Wisconsin, so I would, from my experience and my company in painting, I think you're going to get about 10 to 12 years out of this product.
Any other discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 10.2 is consider mayor's appointment to the Tourism Commission. I know this was on our agenda last month, and I had asked at that time if there was anyone that on this council that would be interested in serving, and more importantly, have the means to be able to make generally 8:30, maybe sometimes, I don't know if they're gonna go to 8 AM. I know it's difficult for many, so I don't know if there's, I definitely entertain. I would, first of all, I would ask Brian, is there any definite, because at one time when I was the council rep, we were meeting as early as 7:30, so I still don't know that, I know that's difficult for people that.
I'll go early if somebody buys breakfast.
We, and
I
again,
don't
this,
know. I think that part of the issue was the chair, it was like best time for him to be able to do it. I don't know if that's still the case or what.
Move it to evening.
Options open up if it's in the evening.
I think if there's no objection, we'll carry this over. I'd look for a motion to table this until next month, and then I know tourism is set to meet this month, hopefully, and they can have some discussions about startup times. And get some additional interest. This is again to succeed former Alderman Mike Plazak.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until we can get some clarification on the start time, potentially move it to, or find somebody that can fill the position.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. Item 11 is public comments. Again, citizens may address the chair at this point of the meeting. Just would ask that you please limit your comments to not more than once or a max of 2 minutes. We have any wishing to make public comments, so moving on to item number 12 then would be suggested future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items? If not, as I've often said, if there's anything that comes up, please reach out to me or the city administrator or clerk, and we're happy to put that on the agenda for future discussion items. There being no further additional business, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second, all in favor of adjournment, signify by stating aye.
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 Aye.